Hello, hello, welcome, welcome. We are going to get started in right now, actually. Just going to invite in our guest. Welcome, everybody.
Hi, Camilla.
Oh, Kim, what's up?
Hello. I see Darlene has joined. Excellent. Hi, Darlene. Long time.
What's up? All right, getting people coming in. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
all right, so my name is Camille Grant, and welcome everybody. And I'm going to introduce the lovely and beautiful Kimberly Pueblo, aka Dr. Pueblo. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Camilla. It's so good to see you. We haven't physically seen each other since
Oh
2016.
my goodness, that's a long, long time.
It
Oh,
has, but you still look great.
thank you, you too, you too.
Thank
So the
you.
reason why I have you here with us is because you did an amazing job with your life as far as with paying off your loans incredibly fast. So we're going to talk about how you did it, the ins and outs. But first, how do I know you? So I am a veterinarian too. Kimberly is a veterinarian as well. We met each other at vet school in UGA, and I just loved her spontaneity, her spunk, her intelligence. She's beautiful inside and out. We studied a lot together before a lot of these exams came to play. And what I loved about her is that she knew when to take breaks, which is what I needed. So I thank you so much for giving me that time to be like, I was like rushing, and didn't know how to relax. So you taught me that. So thank you so much.
Oh, that's very
But
sweet.
I wanted to ask you what you've been doing, how are you doing, and yeah, how you doing?
Before I start with that, I have to say Camille was like literally the sweetest person in vet school. I think everyone in my class can attest to that. Genuinely just kind, which is not something that you can say about everyone.
Thank you.
Of course. So I see some people that I know on here. Hey
Yeah.
guys! Not prepared at all, but it's gonna be great. So a little bit of my background is I was born in New York. My family is from New York. Was raised in South Carolina. Dr. Pabo, yes! Um, I was raised in South Carolina. I'll say in high school, ever since I was a kid, I always knew I wanted to be a veterinarian. I was that kid that the trajectory, everything I did was to do so. Was I the crazy academic in high school? No. But thankfully enough, we got into Cornell for undergrad. The story that I tell everyone that not everyone actually knows is that my first semester at Cornell was terrible. I did not fit in. I felt like I was just not, I didn't
That doesn't
belong.
make
Um,
no.
and I ended up being on academic probation my first semester. And my parents were like, what are we going to do? My older brother, I always say, is the smartest of the family, was in MIT. And it's me there. And I'm just like, but I got an advisor who really, really cared about me, who showed me the things that I needed to do to make up for that, and that it wasn't a situation where I couldn't go to vet school like everyone said. And even despite being on academic probation my first semester, ended up graduating a semester early at the age of 20, which is crazy to me. And then went to University of Georgia with Camilla. I call her Camilla. It's always been my nickname for her. Um, then went to UGA for vet school. After vet school, did my internship at VERG, which is Veterinary Emergency and Referral Group in Brooklyn, which was a crazy, crazy year, but got most of my experience there. After finishing and completing my 1 year there, ended up practicing in the Upper East Side. That wasn't at a standard practice, that was just general practice. They did overnights in terms of being on call.
No.
So that was a lot of fun. It was an 8 doctor practice when I was there. Met some incredible doctors during that time. was there for a couple of years, then worked for Dr. Shorenstein, who I believe is on this chat, who he opened up a practice in West Village, which I was there for a couple of years. And then since January, I've been doing relief work. So that's my story.
That is action-packed. I love it. I love it. And you,
Thank
New York, it's been great.
I always say I'm gonna leave, but I don't see myself anywhere else. That's the thing. When I go back to the South, I'm like, I can't do this.
I understand, it's fine. But I'm in Florida. You got to come here sometime. But inspired you to pay off your loans that fast? Like, talk to me.
Yeah, so I will say in undergrad and even in vet school, I think everything that we're always told as veterinarians is you're going to always be in debt, and that you do this profession for passion. That was always what you're told, is like, oh, that's the field. It has a terrible debt to income ratio. And that was just the norm. So the one thing that I feel like we all got complacent with, that thought process of just like, that's how it's going to be and there's nothing that you can do about it. And then when I finished, I deferred my loans during internship, and it was crazy the amount of interest just from that year of deferment. I was like, why did I do that? Why did I not like start putting money towards my loans? So then once I saw that, there was kind of like a little bit of like, whoa, this is a lot of money. And then people just think, oh, I wait a certain amount of time and poof, it disappears, which is not true. So then I started reading a lot of finance books. I think I told you as well, I was dating someone who's also in finance who really was like, what are you doing? Like, there's more out there. And I do appreciate that. I started reading a lot of books and got knowledge that I didn't realize was out there. It wasn't like, as I said, there's no secret to this by any means on this call. I don't have this is exactly what you have to do for being debt free. But after seeing that there was a possibility, I knew that we had to make a change.
So talk about those books and speakers that inspired you.
Yeah. So I have the first book that I read that really changed the game.
Okay.
Is Dave Ramsey. So what do we have? Dave Ramsey. The Total Money Makeover. Yes. So I always tell people this is a great book to start off with. Did I take everything to heart? By no means did I do that. He says things like, don't ever have a credit card. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Just use it responsibly. Shout out Dave. Just use it responsibly and make sure you're using it as a debit card, basically. I never put more on there and made sure to be able to pay off the statement balance every single month to get those rewards. The other thing is I always listen to his podcast just like all the time. And I heard all these people being like, this is my income. I had this amount of debt, whether or not it's credit card, whether it's car payments or student loans. And they would be like, I paid it off at this amount of time. And they'd all scream at the end, I'm debt free. And I listened to this constantly on my way to work, like nonstop. And I'm like, wait, they made this and they paid off this? Like, how is that possible? So I will say that book kind of sparked me. Something that he does talk about is the snowball effect, which you're pretty aware of that, where if you do have a group of loans, he recommends paying off the highest interest rates first and kind of knocking it down. I've talked to you previously, kind of what did you end up doing? And
I love the snowball effect, and what I did, and I think you did the same thing, you consolidated, and that kind of was hard to do the snowball effect. But what I did was I broke it down like a pyramid. I started off with a small amount, then I made it accrue. So you did it like levels, like a video game. You start off slow with like $1,000. Once you pay that off, you celebrate, you get a steak. Then you go to the next goal, 5,000. And then, but you see, like you're seeing things going down really fast. So it's a wonderful patient.
Yeah.
And
So what I take, because I'm kind of a visual person, is I found that it still has dust every time I bring it out. I got a canvas and I made it supposed to be a thermometer, guys, thermometer. And so student loans, and the top had the total that I had to pay, which was $196,600. And every single time I made a payment, I used a pencil, and it was more so just a visual thing. He always talks about the gazelle mentality, that I felt like once you started getting yourself here, you were in drive mode. One of the main things that he would always comment about is that you could give yourself a raise. And I didn't understand that concept. I was like, what does that mean? You can give yourself a raise. But basically it meant looking at your expenditures and seeing the things you could cut out and how could you get more income. So what I did is I think I did it to the extreme, which I don't know if I recommend that to everyone. That's the one thing I kind of go, oh, Kim, you took it kind of far. Is that my apartment in the Upper East Side was this like studio apartment, kind of one bedroom, and it was so tiny for me and Ralph, but the rent was cheap and I was able to walk to work. So, and it included, so that cut back a lot of income. And then in terms of being at work, when I did work in the Upper East Side, there was a lot of potential for getting more shifts and being on call, which did increase your income. I, at that time, was a workhorse where it was just like, if I can do it, let's do it, and just made sure the main thing is that I maintained practicing good medicine. I did not want to do this and then it just be a situation where it's like focused on just money, because that's not why we did this profession. And it was like, oh, wait, I am able to save. Like, that is the most important thing.
Yep.
Is what I got from his book. And there's lots of other books, but that was the first one that I read that I was like, oh, wait a second. Like, what they say is for the average. I'm not the average person, so I don't need to put limitations to myself like that.
Yes. There was one thing though, the step one, I don't think worked out for me.
Remind
me what
it was. It's been so long since I've read it.
They said to save $1,000 and then just focus on paying off your loans. That was not a good idea for me. I recommend switching, I think, step 3 or 4, where you get an emergency fund.
Yeah. Having
3 to 6 months of your income saved.
Agreed.
Then pay it off, because you have a nice firm foundation if anything happens.
Right. Yeah, I think, you said $1,000, and I agree with you, especially in New York City. $1,000 if something happened isn't really much by any means. But as a whole, in terms of his, just like, you gotta have that drive, and you gotta have that dedication. And the one thing that I always found myself doing is kind of, what could I eliminate in terms of costs? And with New York City, going out, dinners, really expensive. You have a drink, the cocktails can be up to $22, like, truly. And what I would do is, oftentimes if I met up with friends, I would either eat before, or I would have a drink at home, have a glass of wine, and then meet them out. And I would be like, hey guys, everyone, the mentality in New York City when you go to these places with a group of friends is splitting it. And I had to be like, I have a different goal right now. So I would either bring cash and say, hey, take my portion out. If you guys want to split, I just got the $5 French fries while you guys got the $60 steak. So there's like a little bit of uncomfortable moments, but that has to happen. And you just have to really, if you want something, you want to buy something for yourself, I had to ask myself, did I really need it? Because a lot of stuff that you obtain just ends up being somewhere in the house and you don't even use it again.
I am proud of you, because that takes a lot of, it's pure.
Thank you.
You were like, no, I don't have that money. I'm doing like a budget right now. So
yeah.
Yep.
The one thing I don't think I did that at the beginning I thought was going to be a great idea was truly like allocating a certain amount of money that I could use for different parts of a budget. I kind of looked at everything as a whole, but for me it was just like, let's cut back as much as we can on things. The one thing I did keep was cable TV, because I have to watch the news. I know that's bad, but
no, I understand. And also with Dave Ramsey, I liked Anthony O'Neill, so I wanted to make sure I thanked him for that. But you had other liked?
Yes. So I put some to the side. My other favorite book that I let someone borrow and I don't have is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's
Yeah.
about a guy who, and I haven't read them in so long, so I apologize if I'm wrong. His own father didn't have that much money, and then his best friend's dad is Rich Dad. And he kind of saw two different aspects of money and wealth. Some of my favorite books is The Millionaire Next Door. This kind of just talks to you about true wealth and what like real millionaires are doing out there. They're not necessarily the ones out there that are driving the Bentley. I don't even think people drive Bentleys. I don't know. Anyways, they're not the ones driving the fancy cars and doing all of that. They could really be on your street and they're saving for true wealth versus spending all of their money
And a lot of
on things. Say that again?
them, a lot of them are very generous too, which I was
Yeah, exactly. So that was one. Another one of my favorite books that was a little bit more on the recent side, I think I actually read after I paid off my loans, was The Psychology of Money. And it just talks about how everyone sees money a little bit differently and how you portray yourself. A lot of people don't care what you have. No one cares that you have the Prada bag, like as long as it makes you feel good,
yeah.
you know, and you're doing it for yourself. And the perception of money, like greed, could also be something that can be detrimental if you're not really smart about your money. That was one of my favorites. And then this is like a really old book, The Richest Man in Babylon, which also just talks about money and wealth. That's a great one. And then I think those were kind of like the main ones that I read. I probably have more, but those were the ones that really truly like helped me. And a lot of the information is in the book. And the one thing that I always tell people is personal finance is personal. That's what my dad used to always tell me, because I always would be like, am I doing this the right way? Like, is there a right way? And he would always tell me personal finance is personal.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of friends in finance, and some of them would be like, Kim, that's so stupid to pay $200,000 off in such a short amount of time, because you could have used that money for investments and things of that nature and have way more than that. For me, being debt free was more important for me. Yeah, that sounds great, but what if that investment went poorly? Like, there's a lot of factors. It may have worked great and I could be a multimillionaire right now. But in terms of being like truly debt free, that was what was important to me. So I had to just really have that focus. And again, if I had to do it all over again, I don't know if I would do it the exact same way, because I did push myself probably a little bit too much to the limit. But just kind of keeping those guidelines, I think, are definitely important.
That's very important. And there's a really important verse that really helped me out too, where why didn't you do it like wait 10 years to pay it all off?
Yeah.
So the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender. I kept saying that to myself every day. I do not slave to nobody. So I went very fast. So I'm glad that.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
all right. So while paying off your loans so aggressively, is it best to focus on saving a lot? Or we did talk about it essentially. You want to do the emergency funds and then.
Yeah. So just make sure you have enough money that if something happens, you know, I really hate credit card debt. It's one of, when people tell me they throw trips and clothes and all of that on credit cards, it drives me nuts because it's just like, oh my gosh, the interest rates on these things, if you're not truly paying them off, are insane. Yeah. So I always tell people, use that as a debit card. In regards to saving, make sure you do have that emergency fund is definitely important. So that the one thing I wish I did differently that I just didn't know, to be honest with you, is I did keep cash in just a debit card, which is just, or a debit account, which was really stupid. Now I tell people at minimum to at least have a high yield savings account so that you're accruing interest and you can still pull out money if needed quickly. But that is something that I would 100% change versus just having money sit in an account that's not doing anything.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I totally. All right.
Yeah.
after becoming debt free, what has been your next goals in life? So talk to me what you've been doing, what you've been up to.
Yeah. So as I mentioned to you, I do relief per diem work now since earlier this year. 2023 has been more so a focus on me. I always felt like self-care was selfish, which is crazy that I thought that way, but now I find that it really is more so an investment to yourself. So one thing I'm sure people who are on here right now who always see my stupid Instagram videos on me at the gym.
Okay.
The gym is my second home. But I live in the gym. You're a gym goer. People who know me before this new Gym Kim knew that I didn't step foot in a gym and I ate French fries and pizza all day, and that was not happening. But now that I go to gym, I do spend a lot of money on fitness and health. And again, I see it more as a self-investment for future Kim.
Yeah.
And also this motto for my year was really, truly gratitude. That, I can complain, anyone can complain about anything. No one's life is perfect by any means. As you're aware, in 2021, my mom was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma. She ended up having to get 2 separate procedures and maxillectomies that pretty much took the majority of her top teeth and needed rounds of radiation afterwards. I am completely thankful and blessed that one of my clients, Dr. Hannah, you guys should follow him on Instagram and TikTok. It's Dr. Hannah. He pretty much saved my mom's life, and I owe him the world, and I always say this.
Wow.
But in regards to going through those, couple of years with my mom, we got to some dark points, and I am so grateful to be where I am today. My mom is doing well. And again, my focus has been on gratitude. So when anything happens in my life right now, that's not necessarily the way I think it should be. My favorite quote is, "Man plans and God laughs," because it doesn't happen the way you think it's going to happen. And so now I just focus on truly the positives of life, because there are people who dream to sit in your position, like truly. And you can find somebody out there who would die to be where you are. So my main focus has been living in the moment and truly being content with what I have. And of course, always try to be better and give myself grace. That's another thing that I've been working on.
Thank you for sharing that. I know that that's hard.
Yeah, but it's a positive thing that just every single person is dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just how you decide to handle conflict.
That's good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to ask a very interesting question because but are you single?
Am I single? At the moment, yes. Yes, I am. And I actually love it. It's kind of crazy. I love it, because I can do anything I want. I can, it's great. So I am at the moment.
Well, I'll just give some encouragement that there are good, godly men out there. If you are a woman of God, that there are. Just keep praying.
Of course.
A lot of people these days think that there's no good men out there.
I don't feel that way.
I've experienced it. They are there. So he's coming. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not stressed about it. I'm not in a rush. Yep. He's out there somewhere. It's gonna be great.
But I'm praying for you. He's gonna be blessed. So don't.
Awesome. I'm not stressed.
All right. And then my last question: how can we pray for you, Kim?
I think just for the world, for just everyone to have peace and for just health, and that's what's important to me right now in life is peace of mind and health.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Of course. It was fun talking to you, Camille.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure seeing you. We have to meet in person again. It has been a couple years, but
yes.
And we're gonna open it up to the floor if anybody has any questions. So this is our Q&A. You could bring Ralph back if you want.
Ralph is sleeping somewhere. I'm not bothering that dog.
I got you. But if anybody has any Q&A, we're going to be here for like another minute. If we don't see anything, we're going to let Kim go. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to post this interview up, and we can probably answer in the comment section if you want. Okay? Any questions?
Oh, my last thing that I have to say,
Yes.
and it's not just like finance based, is I always say to stop putting boundaries on yourself, on your capability of what you can do.
That's good.
So I remember someone telling me, I was mentioning like, I want to be on a private jet doing blah, blah. They're like, Kim, that's never happening. And I said, it might not happen for you. Put limitations on my abilities.
Awesome.
So I always tell people like, truly, like, you can do what you want to do, and don't let people tell you that you can do otherwise.
Powerful.
Yay, it's so good seeing my vet school homies on here. Yay.
See you guys. Wow. All right. So it seems like everyone is enjoying the interview. No questions at this time, which is totally fine. But I pray you all have a great day. And Kim, again, good seeing you.
Good seeing you as well. Thank you. You look great as well, Camilla. All right, you guys have a good night.
Right,
bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Dr. Romero. Shout out, Dr. Romero. I'm so annoying. Oh man, people are joining. Come on, ask some questions. I know it's like a video. Come on, ask some questions, people.
Stay here.
Come on. Hi, Maggie. Hello. Okay, everyone's leaving. That's okay. All right, guys. You guys have a fantastic night and get some sleep. All right, bye.
Bye.